I've got a special guest today for y'all. My dude, Donovan Ruffin, is a wholesaler and more out of the Dallas area. Donovan, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank
you for having me.
For the viewers who don't know, tell us about you and your business real quick.
Yeah, so my name is Donovan Ruffin. I'm based out of Dallas. We do business all over Texas, and other markets as well, Atlanta, Tampa, some parts of Florida, California. Obviously, we're going to continue to grow and expand. I run a wholesaling business, equity cash offer, if you've heard of it. If you haven't, now you have. And so, yeah, I've been in business about a little over 10 years now. And, you know, we're just cranking it out, making things happen and serving and helping a lot of people.
How'd you wind up here?
Man, I mean, well, I guess I've always been the foundations of being in real estate in general, it's just like your name and your reputation is everything. And then when you're building a business, your brand is pretty important, right? So I kind of fell into or dove more so into, building a brand versus building me personally.
Hold on, let me go back before that.
Okay.
When you were a kid, were your parents entrepreneurs?
Gotcha.
Were they executives?
Well, I come from, my mom, raised 4 kids by herself. I mean, my dad was there, but we lived in Ohio. My dad lived in Texas. And my dad's side of the family, my grandfather, he was an executive in, a fairly large company and was fairly successful. And, my mom's side of the family comes from like real hardworking, Mexican-based individuals, right? So it's just, see my mom work so many hours in the day and, consistently and, real hard work. I've obviously kind of seen both sides to the trade. It was like, hey, you can go into, work really long, hard hours and make great income on the labor side. And then you can also, work more on the entrepreneur business side of it too. And what happens when you put them both together? So I feel like I have a lot of, real life examples of hard work, dedication, and obviously, kind of the entrepreneurial standpoint of things. So it's just like kind of mixing those together in the business world.
Seed.
You definitely have a huge edge, right? So it's like when I first got into sales, which I was so excited to get in sales. I mean, we can dive into it, but I remember I was in, door-to-door sales at the time, working, 10, 12 hours a day in the heat, Texas heat, getting doors slammed in the face and things of that nature. And I remember working with kids. I was like, I don't know, 19,
How old are you?
20.
Yeah.
I'm 31 now, but
then.
Yeah, I was like 19, 20. And I was working with kids, recruiting my friends and colleagues, and they would just be complaining about like working 8 hours or 9 hours a day. And I'm in the back of my brain is like, my mom's working 16 hours hard labor right now. Like, you're just a fucking bitch, right? And that's just, obviously I've learned humility since then, right? So it's just like everybody was raised differently. And
but you saw the difference you had in you working 10 hours. What are you talking about? No big deal. I'm here to get paid.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the time they show up. We're not even on the same level. You're not on the same levels.
I didn't know any different, right? Just because of like what I've seen in my family, right? So my mom was literally working 16 hours a day in hard labor, like manually hard labor, like a refinery in Ohio, while I was in the field, right? So it's just like, I didn't have any excuses not to work hard, because it's just like, if I'm not putting in that, like my mom's outworking all of these kids.
Yeah.
I remember, my mom, finally coming to a point where it's just like her hands are like literally bleeding. And I remember, sending a text message to my mom is like, Mom, you don't have to do this anymore. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you find like certain things in your personal life that motivates you in the business world to just keep going and crush it, because, people depend and rely on you. You know what I mean?
think a lot of success comes from hard times. And while you're young, you're embarrassed, or you probably, I don't know, I was embarrassed that my parents didn't have that kind of money. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like I was as important and all these other kids whose parents were professionals. I felt like they were better than me. And as I got older, I started to realize that little like seed or like maybe chip on my shoulder was probably one of the most important things I got. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like you're almost kind of relating that to your mom's hard work and these dudes dealing door to door. Like, what are you talking about, you little bitch? Like, really? Yeah. My mom outworks you. Let's go.
You make something out of it, and, people can use our experiences, when we don't come from much, where it's just like, you really don't have any excuses. Mm-mm. I mean, it doesn't matter where you come from, what you look like, or, what your family based or where you're raised, it's just like everything is your decision.
So what happens? You're doing door to door. You're roping your friends in. Tell me about that.
I was presented an opportunity. I was at the right place at the right time, and I essentially partnered up with my boss at the time, and we started our own marketing company, and we got a contract. This was right when AT&T bought DirecTV, and so we got in at like one of the best times. Like AT&T and DirecTV, or AT&T bought DirecTV. So what we were doing now, our model, we went from door-to-door sales to business, and we're going into bars, restaurants, nail salons.
So you're a third-party marketing company signing up their customers.
Yeah. And not even that, like we were going into bars and restaurants that already had both services. They already had DirecTV because they needed it for, the NFL Sunday ticket. They had a contract with the NFL, which lasted for like another 2 or 3 years. And then they already had AT&T internet. So what we were doing is we were going into these establishments and giving them better service and combining their bill and giving them faster internet and for like a minimal of what they were currently paying. So it was just like a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
It was a no-brainer. So we were making millions of dollars and like literally buying all this equipment from AT&T and like warehouses and, flying into a city, and within 2 weeks we'd have, 5, 6 people knocking.
Oh, so y'all were going to a market, finding the market, cutting the deal, and going out and executing in a market.
Yep.
Were you getting people from that market, or were you bringing them with you?
So our model was that was like the opportunity, right, for our reps at the time. It's like the goal was to get really good at this, eventually learn how to run a team, and then run your own market and office. So we were taking the next best guy per market, and then when they're ready, we would essentially ship them to a market and open an office, and then then we teach them how to run ads to recruit people, how to do interviews, how to do the training, how to do the onboarding, how to do the retention, how to build the team culture. I mean, the whole shebang.
So you're early 20s at this point.
Yeah, I'm like 20 years old.
What are you thinking? Are you like, I've made it. Like, I'm the best that there is. At this age, you're building something meaningful.
Yeah, like my ego was in flames. Like, I was like,
but I mean,
of course.
Weirdly enough, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like, you come from not a lot, and all of a sudden, in a few years, like, you're doing this like big.
Yeah. I mean, we're investing a lot too, right? So it's just like, you make a bunch of money, and then it's just like you get the money, and then it's time to grow it, right? So it's just we're always reinvesting into people too, right? And, hiring the best people and paying as much as we can to have the very best team. And then, is just, the philosophy of, I mean, at this point, we grew it to 10 different sales markets around the country, a multi-million-dollar company, completely door-to-door and business-to-business. And, we have like executives at like a Fortune 10 company, AT&T, flying us across the world or like entertaining us. And I'm like 20 years old with CEOs and execs, and they're just paying me this ridiculous amount of money to like sell their products and services. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I don't even know how they're making money. Cause like we'd sign somebody up with like a $20 bill, and they're paying us like a $3,000 commission. And I'm like, what? Like we were making a crazy amount of money.
They're looking at the lifetime value of the customer. They're paying you more than the monthly fee.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a good deal. And then, obviously I had a bunch of money, and I was like, I got to reinvest this. I run into tax issues early on. And then obviously real estate was very intriguing. So that was kind of like my next path. And I started doing a bunch of fix and flips.
But so you're still doing the sales operation,
Yep.
And then you started doing real estate on the side, kind of.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I started, I did like a couple wholesale deals when my buddies got into it. And yeah, my ego was kind of in flames because like my friend got into the space, and he closed his first deal. He made like $18,000 on an assignment. And I'm like looking at that, I was like, dude,
hold up.
That's a lot of money, right? So it's just like, you show me how to do this, bro. Like, and I'm just gonna crush it. And it was like one of those kids where he's kind of like nerdy in high school, like kind of lame, It's just like, I'm way cooler than this person. It's just like, but the confidence and belief that transformed by somebody that I personally know doing it changed everything for me, right? And a lot of times, if you're watching this, it's just like you're sitting on the sidelines and you want to make something shake, and yeah, you're watching other people do it, but I think it definitely changes a lot. First, when you do it, or you see somebody that you personally know do it. And that, I mean, those two kickers is typically what happens when you actually believe it's possible, right?
If he can, I can.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
If I can, I will, right? So I was like, all I need is one deal. You teach me how to do one deal, and then it was just game over, right? And so I did one deal, made like, I don't know, $5,000 my first deal. And that's all I needed, right? And at that point, I was doing like everything from the front. I was the one laying banded signs because that's all I knew. That's all we knew how to find deals.
That's how it always starts.
Yeah,
you're doing all the jobs.
Yeah, I have like 10 different sales offices around the country, and then I'm still, in the field knocking doors. And then at 9 o'clock, I would have a trunk full of bandit signs going around Dallas, dodging cops, dropping bandit signs till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
You and I had a conversation. I really respect this about you. You were transparent. It's not stuff that people really talk about on the internet.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, this has been tough. Here's why. And, I was like, yeah, man, we had to close down this business line, like all these major changes. Talk about what that looks like. Because when people get into this, they're like, I want to go make that $10,000 or $20,000 assignment fee and bounce on my job.
Yep.
They're not looking far enough in the head to be like, I'm fighting for existence. I'm trying to protect my reputation, my brand, while I can just barely pay the rent this month. Like, what's that period look like?
Yeah. So
you look, you're the king, and then you're not the king for a while.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I was doing coaching, right? So I did millions of dollars doing coaching, right? And then I just made the decision where I was just, I had my hands in too many different areas, and my focus, where was my focus going to be most important, right? And so my wholesaling operation wasn't profitable for like, I don't know, 5-6 months consistently, towards the end of 23. And so we had to make changes. We had to make, like, my coaching business was doing spectacular, right? But it's just my moral compass and kind of how I felt on, it just didn't feel right collecting, money from people for coaching, and my own business wasn't profitable. And so I had to make a hard sacrifice, not just to shut off a revenue stream. I had to make a hard sacrifice to focus on fixing the underlying cause in my wholesaling operation, because if I didn't have that, then I couldn't be a coach, right? Or I couldn't.
You
do
wanted to
anything
be able
else,
to be
right?
confident and say, this is how it works because I've done it.
Yeah. Well, the reality is something had to change. So we got to fix the problem. So I needed to go full time, right? So I had to fix a lot of things. And we did. We adapted. We changed, our entire structure, the entire way we did operating in business. We changed everything from the way the lead was imported to when the deal was sold and how money came to the bank account. Everything changed.
Let me back you up. Sorry, you're going fast. When the first month or two you lost money, I've lost money in months, and I'm just like, that month sucked. Here's our fuck ups, whatever.
Right.
But when it happened a month or two in a row, what happened? Were you like, oh, whoa? Did you know it was a meaningful problem, or did you think it was a blip?
Well, I did kind of like expect certain things. Like, we pulled out of a lot of the liabilities that we had on hard assets. Like when we were doing fix and flips, like we completely stopped doing fix and flips. And at the end of 2022, and that was like the hottest market, right? So we were making, like, you could buy a house and then do absolutely nothing and hold it for like 2-3 months and make like 20, 25 grand. The market was going crazy.
But holding all those assets put some dudes out of business because they had to come to table with 30 grand for 7 deals. They're out.
So we we finished all of the hard assets that we held in 2022, and then in Q4 it's like, okay, we're not buying anything. We're just gonna wholesale and assign everything.
Great timing.
And we pulled out at the best possible times. If we hadn't done that, I would probably went bankrupt.
Because you can't exit all that stuff. It's not liquid. Wholesale contract, you terminate. A house, dude.
Yeah. And then, it's just like, obviously in the wholesale space, like, buyers were essentially towards the end of 2023, like our book of business, they were just flat out running out of cash. Just houses were sitting on the market. They weren't prepared to hold on to houses for a lot longer, or, put more additional construction into the property. At the same time, the values of the real estate was dropping in real time, month over month. Right. So it's just like, people don't really realize, when you have a house and you're prepared to sell it for $300,000 and it's physically impossible for you to get an appraisal past $250,000. Where's the money go? It goes into the abyss. Right. So it's just like, who's got the money? I don't know, but it's not in the market.
It ain't in my pocket.
So it's just like, you're looking at that. It's like, okay, these fix and flippers are now having to come to the closing table to get rid of these houses. Right.
Yes.
So it's just like, how are they going to be able to get into another asset when they're running out of cash? Right. So
and you're the provider of those.
Yes.
So you're looking upstream saying, it's coming downhill.
Yeah. And so at this time, we had maybe 3 disposition agents, right? And then we had 12 acquisition agents.
Okay.
So I looked at it. It's like we're not going to change too much, but we're just going to completely flop where our staff is focusing on. Like, the supply and demand is completely opposite. So at that point, it was just like an easy decision where it's just like, we only had 1 acquisition rep and then 19 disposition reps within 30 to 60 days. And so the biggest change that I did at my company to avoid bankruptcy essentially was change everything. From even the
I made a new company.
Yeah, like I mean, we're spending, you know, close to $100,000 just in payroll and salaries, right? So, and then everybody's complaining because obviously their paychecks and commission checks weren't as high as what they used to. Everybody wants to make more money.
You're unhappy. They're unhappy. It changes the environment.
Yep.
We had those things where some of our top salespeople were like coming in and asking for an advance to the next month. I'm like, I don't even know if you're getting paid the next month. And then they're saying, that's easy for you. You got all this money. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on here? We love y'all. We've trusted y'all. We've built something special for years. And now it's like, it's almost like people are divorcing and fighting when there's not enough money in the household.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely like a lot of, I mean, changing staff for sure. I mean, people make, you know, decisions for their own lives, you know, it is what it is in survival. But
was there a time during that where you're like, oh fuck, I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this? Or in your mind, were you always like, I'm going to get through this, I just don't know how yet?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've been in business a long time, so it's just like, I mean, my cash reserves, right? So it's just like we had cash reserves, so it's just, it was only a matter of like, how long am I going to accept losing consistently before I just say it's not no more, right? But it was just a matter of, it was all my fault, right? I wasn't focused on changing anything. Everything was working for a long time, and so if it's working, don't change it. But it wasn't working, so we were just constantly changing things, right? And then, you know, like I had a meeting, a team meeting with the whole company. And I was like, you know, in the next 2 weeks, your paychecks are going to change. You can leave or you can stay. But the ones that are going to stay, they're going to really, you know, we called it let the big dogs eat. And we changed the comp plan from salary plus commission or smaller commission to just 100% salary.
Ooh,
and yeah,
that was probably some bad feedback right there.
I mean, I just took it on the chin and I led from the front. I worked on the sales floor with everybody for, you know, a good 2 weeks, just to make sure that the person or the, you know, the confidence was there and things of that nature. And then instead of getting paid once a month in commission, it's just like as soon as the deal closed, you'd get paid. And
that's smart.
People were really starting to see the benefits of it, and you know, either making the same amount of money or making more. We lost one person in that transition.
Dude, that's huge.
But it allowed me.
That speaks to how good you did from leadership, but you also had a pretty good group of people, because I would have forecasted the team would have split in half.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, you know, in sales in general, it's just like retention. People are going to leave anyways, but specifically because the comp plan changed, we lost one person.
Wow.
But what it did
They had
allow
confidence in you, and they said, I believe he's going to take us where we need to go. That's probably why they stuck.
Well, I mean, the business needed something. The industry needed something. I saw the industry had a need, and I wanted to take advantage of the need. And the need was we needed to find more cash buyers like today. So how can we find more cash buyers?
What did you do?
I was looking at it as like, we need to hire 20 people in the next 30 to 60 days. And if we don't do that, then we will file for bankruptcy, because that's the only way it's going to work. That is the only possible way that it's going to work. And so I was looking at that in our comp plan at the time, and it's just like, we physically cannot afford to pay an additional 20 salaries in order to get there. So what works? All commission. Bring them in, right?
But you know what? I wonder if you'll ever go back. Will you never go back?
I've been considering it. Because I mean, these guys are making so much fucking money in all commission. I'm like, man, I miss paying 5% commission.
It's funny how that works, right? At a time you desire it, and at a time you're like, eh.
Yeah, I was like, damn, you guys are making all the money. But,
yeah, that's tough. As the business owner, it's really tough.
But yeah, it worked out, man. And we pushed through. And then I remember like our first green month, and I was like, so happy. I was like
I did it.
Air, yeah.
Even your first green month probably wasn't massive, but it was fucking green and not red.
That's
and you're
right.
like,
it was $7,000 profit. I mean, you
made it.
Yeah, we're still, you know, closing, you know, $150,000, $200,000 a month, and somehow, you know, out of all of that, $7,000 is profit, right? So that's what I'm saying. As an operator, people don't really see a lot of the behind the scenes things. They're just kind of like, everybody's like focused on like the next big deal and how you should. But like as an operator, it's just like there's a lot of different moving pieces outside of just where you're going to spend money in marketing, right? There's a lot of people, you know, you walk into, you know, firsthand, and it's just like, you know, your level of responsibilities changes dramatically once you hire one person, because all of a sudden you're responsible for not just that person, but their entire family. Where they eat, where they sleep, how they pay their bills, where their kids go to school. You are responsible for that person's livelihood. Now imagine 30, right? So a lot of people see the big teams and, you know, all these fancy things and offices and, you know, lifestyle or whatever, but
they don't realize you're carrying 100 people
Yep.
on your shoulders effectively.
Yep. Yep. A lot of people just aren't ready for that responsibility and shouldn't be ready. But I mean, everybody lives different lives. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of trades to the coin, I guess, to be a big operator. But at the end of it is it's definitely all worth it. Like, what are you doing it for? And like, what do you get out of that in return? And, for me, my standpoint has always been the same philosophy. It's just like, there's no greater feeling in the world, being able to, put somebody in a position to succeed in a massive way, under your leadership and vision. There is no more fulfilling thing in the world. I love when reps come into our office and come with bare bones nothing. Like, we hired this kid and he's like, going through something really challenging financially. I was like, dude, just lock in for like 30 days. His first month, he did $12,000 in commissions.
Change your life, boy.
I'm like. And then we ended up firing him. But anyways.
The life changes, came back to work.
Yeah, I was like, damn, bro. It's like, maybe you made too much money. Now you don't know how to handle yourself. But it's cool seeing stuff like that, And it's just like, the amount of, deals that we were closing. It's just like, these people all have issues or all have underlying problems in their life. And, because of our company and we're able to get the deal to the finish line, that family's impacted, right? So that's super cool to see. So, I mean, nonetheless, obviously you run your niche, right? And we were just talking about that, is everybody kind of like finding your niche and what you're good at, what you enjoy to do. I think that's what separates people in certain aspects of the business is like, you found what you're really good at and you just stuck to it, right? Because there's so many different ways to get paid in the real estate space. I mean, just on one HUD statement, there's like thousands of line items.
That's a great way to look at it. Well, dude, this has been great, man. Thanks for coming, Donovan. Anything, last words, anything you should tell anybody?
No, just get to it. And,
if
you need anything, equitycashoffer.com.
How do people find you? Best place?
Yeah, equitycashoffer.com. You need help moving a deal. My team's on it within an hour or 2 hours. Obviously, you can find me on social media. You just Google my name or Google my company. I'm probably the easiest person to find. Unfortunately.
You got the blue organic check mark.
Yeah. So if you need help, reach out and let's do some business together.
I love it. Thanks for coming today, my dude.
My commitment to you is to deliver the most interesting, messy, and profitable real estate deals on earth. And in exchange for that, I only ask that you subscribe to this podcast and share it with a friend who can benefit.